up, beautiful people? Welcome to Fix Your Face Conversation, podcast, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people are saying it's just what we need, another podcast. But here at Fix Your Face Conversation podcast, our face oftentimes speaks what our mouth can't. You know, a lot of people are saying our First Amendment rights have been taken away. We can't say what we want, we can't say what's on our mind. But the truth of the matter is, your face, your countenance, oftentimes speak what your mouth can't say. When you see that situation that's a little questionable, you raise your eyebrow. When you see something that pleases you or satisfies you, your face speaks and you smile. So here in this forum, I'm your host, Deanna Fountain Breeden, and here in this forum, our face is going to react to a lot of what's going on swirling around in our society. So welcome, come on in and let's get started. All right, let's look at what happened at the BAFTA Film Awards. I know it's been probably a month ago since it really went down, but let's talk about this for a second. Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, who both starred in the film Sinners, were invited to present the first category of the night. And I believe that category was best special visual effects or something to that nature. So during that presentation moment, a Tourette's-related outburst happened from the audience and was heard in the auditorium and on the broadcast, the television broadcast. So for those of you that don't know, BAFTA is the British Academy, of Film and Television Arts. It's the same glitz, same glamour, same thing that we see like in the Oscars. It's like a parallel version of the Oscars. You know, when people get nominated and they win the award and then they act so surprised when they already knew that they were nominated, and they come up and they give this speech where they thank their third grade teacher, their childhood dog, and the whole kit and caboodle. So it was during this award ceremony that Michael B. and Delroy Lindo were presenting this award, and this Tourette's syndrome gentleman yelled out a racial slur. He yelled out the N-word, and we all know what that N-word is. And when I first heard this story, when it first broke, I was really frustrated. I was irritated because, from what I understand, the network had the opportunity. There was a 2-hour gap. They had this opportunity where they could have stopped that specific instance from being aired, but they didn't. So I was really frustrated and angry about that. And then I was even further angered because it appeared as though they were hiding behind this Tourette's syndrome, which I was totally ignorant about, didn't know anything about it. I knew of mild cases of this Tourette's syndrome. So it kind of frustrated me that this man took the liberty of vocalizing this racial slur, and then now we're going to tag it with Tourette's syndrome. Then I saw this video. I did a little research on the syndrome, and then I saw this video of this young lady who has Tourette's syndrome, and we're going to watch this video. Producer, go ahead and roll that clip.
Let's talk about the different kinds of tics. Despite popular speculation, Corey Kenshin, a lot of people tend to think that most tics are very severe and involve cursing. This is false. Tics rarely involve cursing. So let's get into mild tics. I'm not serving you coffee. Mild tics are what typically people with tics and Tourette's usually have. Simple mild tics that are motor can often include motor. See, it's hooked up to the tobinator. The tobinator is hooked up to the motor. The motor is I've never ever had that take a day in my life, so I really don't know what that was. But blinking, twitching,
Let me just stop right there because I appreciate that she, having Tourette's syndrome, she identified that very rarely does Tourette's syndrome associated with a curse word or cursing. I thought that was interesting because it could be that this situation that happened at the BAFTAs could just be an opportunity to, let's use the Tourette's syndrome. Not saying that the gentleman doesn't have Tourette's. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But it just could have been an opportunity for him to draw attention to himself, because I'm just going by what the young lady said. Very seldom does this Tourette's syndrome involve cursing. And so she's expressing that. So I'm just trying to weigh out the authenticity of this man with this racial slur at the BAFTAs.
Be like slight twitching of like the head, the nose, slight facial movements, head bobbing, or other movements that are, my name is Bobby, I like to party. Simple movements. Simple vocal tics. Nah, it's just me, nigga. Nah, can, sorry. These can include of whistling, slight hiccup noises, clicking, clearing their throat, etc. Okay. Yep. I had to fight to be able to pause this video. Now, let's get into complex motor and vocal tics. Complex motor tics. Oh, can we talk about the political and economic state of the world right now? These can include of sticking up the middle finger, jumping around, hitting stuff. I'm losing my train of thought actively. Biting people, touching things, bending your knees and stuff like that. Suck my fat one. What? Etc.
Okay, and so she goes on to explain the various types and the various degrees of Tourette's syndrome. And it made me look back at this BAFTA situation again, and it made me really evaluate, first of all, my personal perspective, because I immediately went to, oh, it's an excuse. He's just saying what he really wanted to say. He just expressed himself the way he really wanted to express himself with anticipation of no consequences. And so, but after looking at this, watching this Tourette's syndrome video and doing a little research, I was very compassionate to this gentleman. If indeed it was sincere, very compassionate to people who have this syndrome. And so it was a face moment there for a second, a face moment of frustration, anger. But then after doing my research and then after, again, having some things brought to my attention, the face changed to a face of compassion. But one thing I stand on, I'm not changing about this, is that the network, again, had the opportunity to filter that out. But to me, it just perpetuates the divide or the agenda of division that we see going on globally. The network had if you know how television broadcasts work, the network, they have there's a 2-hour delay, 2-hour opportunity for them to cut out inappropriateness, which this definitely would have classified as inappropriateness. But they had that opportunity to do that, and they chose not to, which is the main thing that really frustrates me. Because we are already living in a society, in a community, and a world that is just totally divided. We're divided in religion, we're divided in economics, we're divided in education, we're divided in political thoughts, political agendas. And so here we have an opportunity to reduce the divide, reduce division, and they chose not to. They chose to allow that to be aired. And that's the most troubling thing about this. And that deserves a face, definitely deserves a face. I could say a whole lot more. Don't want to get canceled. Don't want to get dragged across social media. And don't want to be declared the villain. But I definitely am frustrated about their response and how they handled that whole situation, the whole BAFTA situation. All right, beautiful people. Talk about no weapon formed against me shall prosper. That's quoted from Isaiah 54:17 in our scriptures. Afroman found not guilty. So the weapons that they tried to form against this brother did not prevail. So first of all, for those of you that don't know who Afroman is, and I had never heard of him, but I cannot be any reference point of any type of rapper, artist, because I'm a little disconnected. But when I heard this story, I was intrigued. So this Afroman was born, his name is Joseph Foreman, and he is the rapper best known for his viral hit, Because I Got High. And he currently lives in Winchester, Adams County, Ohio. And so what happened back in 2022, apparently the sheriff's department, the deputies raided Afroman's home while he was not home, looking for drugs and evidence of kidnapping. And they found absolutely nothing illegal in this man's home, Afroman's home. So Afroman later reported, during his report, he reported that $400 in cash went missing after the raid. So apparently the sheriff's department raided his home. The $400 he is saying was there before they raided the home. After they raided the home, the $400 was no longer there. I don't know, just giving you the facts. And so he also said that deputies, they turned off some of his security cameras while they were inside. And his front door and other parts of his property were damaged during the search. And so if you watch the video, they literally kicked in this man's front door. They kicked in his front door off the hinges, raided his home, found nothing. And so now the cameras that stayed on recorded the entire raid, but Afroman used that footage in music videos and online posts. And that's what infuriated the sheriff's deputies. So he said he did this to show what happened and call out the damage. And Afroman said he did this to highlight the missing money and the injustices that were taken out against him. So the deputies in turn sued him because the officers claimed that Afroman used their faces and their identities without permission. And I could be wrong, but I see videos all the time with law enforcement in it, but I don't know how that works. I don't know how, if they have to get like a permission slip from the law enforcement before they can appear in a video. I don't know. Apparently the court did not think that that was required because, again, he won his case. So they said that the videos made them look bad. It was these videos that made them look bad. I beg to differ. I think it's a lot of the behaviors that we see on a regular basis by some law enforcement, and I emphasize some, that makes them look bad. But anyway, they're attributing their bad image or part of their bad image to Afroman. And they argue that he made money off of their images. He made money off of their images. So Afroman's defense was, he said the footage came from my own home. So I have the right to use it. And then he argued that the raid was wrong and never should have happened. And he pointed out the missing 400 and the fact that officers shut off his security cameras. And he said that he was protected by freedom of speech. Go Afroman. And that turning the raid into music and commentary was his legal right. What do you think about that? He said the officers created the situation themselves. They brought it on themselves. They entered my home. I captured it on video. And now I'm going to make money from it to pay for my front door and the damage that you brought into my home. And so the viral songs, there's a couple of viral songs that came out of this. Lemon Pound Cake, which showed officers wandering around his home. And then Will You Help Me Repair My Door highlighted the damage and the search warrant. And both songs went viral. And what the sheriff's department is saying is it brought embarrassment upon them. Both songs went viral. And so the outcome was that Afroman was found not guilty. And he appeared in the court with red, white, and this is crazy. This is a crazy part. He appeared in court with this red, white, and blue version of the U.S. flag. Now, I don't know if this is his normal attire. Is this his normal garb, producer? Is this what he normally wears? He's kind of odd, is what the feedback I'm getting. He's kind of odd. But his appearance in court was this United States flag version suit, which was really, I thought it was really nice. And these shades that were, had the reflection of the U.S. flag. And he had on this, he had a fresh French manicure. And he had on a huge gold marijuana ring on his finger. And to me, it was a mockery to our judicial system. And they weren't even, it's like they were totally oblivious to his mockery or Actually, maybe they weren't oblivious, but realized that there's nothing that they could do about it. So the court ruled that he did not break the law by using his own security footage, and the officers' lawsuits against him failed. Now, one of the points that I'm trying to make here is that how many of you really ever heard of Afroman prior to this? This is the power of social media influence, the power of an adverse situation that can just bring popularity to your front door. Afroman, many of us had never even heard of him, but now he even admitted in court that his social media presence has more than doubled. His followers have more than tripled. His social media presence has soared because of this adverse situation that happened, this attempt to file a lawsuit against him, which really turned out to be beneficial to him. So this, to me, there's a great lesson to be learned in here from Afroman, not about the smoking, but definitely about looking at those adverse situations that happen in your life, taking those adverse situations and using them as an opportunity to promote your own agenda, to take your product, your service, whatever it is, to a whole nother level. Because let's admit, we never heard of him before. But thanks to the Winchester or the local sheriff's department in Winchester, Ohio, he is now a social media sensation. So kudos to you, sheriff's department in that county, for what you did for Afroman. All right. We all know that we live in a community society of people that really have a sense of entitlement. No boundaries. Do what you want to do. Expect there to be no consequences. Expect there to be no pushback. And then when you do set a boundary or extend consequences, there is that offense that enters the room. So recently, we saw where a gentleman who had what I translate as a sense of entitlement took it upon himself to reach out and touch Teyana Taylor during the Oscars red carpet, during her entrance on the red carpet. Okay? For those of you that don't know, and I'm sure you do know who Teyana Taylor is, she's a very popular, very beautiful actress, choreographer, and creative director known for her very bold personality, her sharp style, and just a no-nonsense attitude. She's just the epitome of a strong Black woman. And she's a very respected figure in music industry, in fashion, and in film. And she's loved for her authenticity and her willingness to speak up. So this is what happened. Teyana was walking the red carpet at the Oscars, posing for photos, as they do. And a man standing near the press line, he reached out and he touched her lower back hip as she passed. He reached out and felt the need to touch her lower back hip as she passed by. He was not security, he was not staff, he was just this random attendee. And the cameras captured the entire moment from multiple angles. And when I first saw it, it did not have the whole story behind it. It just appeared as though she was just randomly going off on this individual. But she immediately stopped and she turned around and she addressed him. She gave him a sharp look and she said, "Don't play with me. Look, don't play with me." She told him directly, "Don't touch me. You're weird for that." And she said, "You're a loser." She stayed calm. She stayed composed. She stayed in control, but she was firm. No yelling, but she set a boundary. And some people said that she was a little too extreme about it, that when you're in the public like that, you're bound to be touched. Some people said that she just took it too far because, you're on the red carpet and someone's liable to touch you. And I think that she responded, personally, I think that she responded in a very, very appropriate manner. Why do people feel as though that they have this sense of entitlement to just do what they want to do and expect there to be no consequences? Why is it that we live in, this is a perfect example of the society and the culture that we live in, with this sense of entitlement, that you believe you can say whatever you want to say, do whatever you want to do, and there be no consequences. And then the moment that a boundary is set, in this case, you have the potential to be classified as an angry Black woman. That's frustrating for me. This sense of entitlement, leaving people to believe that I can just do whatever I want to do and there's not going to be any consequences. Well, Teyana proved him different. She put him in a place of open and public correction, a place of open and public rebuke, to let him know, I'm not the one. She walked away trending and widely praised for the most part. And the man walked away embarrassed and silent. And the internet walked away reminded that celebrity does not equal access. That you don't have access. You don't have the liberty to just, not even celebrities, just anyone, period, with no respect, no expectation or no respect, of boundaries. And I'm just willing to believe that at some point he is going to come out and he is going to use this as an opportunity to promote his social media, promote himself, promote his intentions, get an interview here or there to express, what he was thinking at the time. To touch her on her lower back hip in that area, come on. But I'm just willing to wager that he's going to later use this as an opportunity to promote his own personal agenda. We got to get away from that sense of entitlement. And I don't know what it's going to take and how we as a community, a society as a globe, how we are going to be able to advance towards that. But we got to get away from that sense of entitlement. We got to move away from that. We have to come out of that sense or that belief system that we can do things on this level and that there not be any consequences, that there not be any repercussions. So what do you think about that? Send me a message. Let me know. Drop it in the chat. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Teyana Taylor red carpet incident, where a man who just had a sense of entitlement just reached out and touched her. All right. That's going to be it for today. Just 3 topics that I wanted to hit really quick to bring some awareness to what we're dealing with in our society. And with Afroman, there was a plot, there was an attempt to destroy him, an attempt to bring him down, regardless of his lifestyle. And the plan, it didn't prosper. It failed. And then we have the BAFTAs. It gives us an opportunity to really look at all the dynamics of the situation with the BAFTAs and really be more compassionate, be more understanding once we understand Tourette's syndrome. And then with the Teyana Taylor red carpet situation, just how do we deal with people with a lack of accountability, people who have a sense of entitlement. All 3 of these stories give us an opportunity to look at their situation and then look at how we're living our own lives. Your mouth may not be able to say it, but your face can certainly express it. Continue with the facial expressions. Continue with your First Amendment rights. I am your host, Deanna Fountain Breeden, and that's going to wrap it up for today. See you during our next episode.